Hi everyone, it's Susan Peach and I'm here today to tell you about something very exciting. I have just purchased this website and I had the idea when I bought it to turn it into a live case study so that my students and other people who are interested in what I'm doing can see the process of turning a website around. So I was offered this website last week and I decided to purchase it because the price was right and because I live on Vancouver Island, whereas the previous owner didn't live here, and I suspect the original creator of the website didn't live on the island either, just by some of the content. So I figured, well, I could fairly easily make something of this site because I've lived on the island all my life, but also I could use it as an example to my students and to people who are just interested in how I do this website stuff. Exactly what do I do? So I'm going to use this website, discovervancouverisland.com, as a case study, and I'm going to take it from where it is now, and I'll talk about that in a minute, to where I'd like it to be. Now I'm going to set a fairly minimal goal just because I like to work in small chunks. And especially for those people who are just starting out online, I think it's really critical to set yourself really small, doable goals at first rather than some pie in the sky goal that's really stressing you out. Once you hit that small goal, then you can move on. So the previous owner told me that this site is breaking even, that it's making about $30 a month, primarily from AdSense. So my goal is going to be to take this website from breaking even to in profit, and I'm going to set my first goal at $100 a month. So that'll be the first landmark that I work towards. And you can follow me along and see what I do to create that turnaround. And personally, I don't think it's going to be too difficult to hit that first goal. So let's start with some benchmark metrics that we can look at. This is the site, and I'm just going to take you in now to the Alexa traffic information for this website. So you can see I'm on alexa.com. And for those of you who've been to my workshops or been on my webinars and followed what I do, this is just one tool that you can use to generally see how a site is doing. Again, I don't usually look at the hard number and come to any hard and fast conclusions, but instead I'm looking for the trend over time. So here's the website, discovervancouverisland.com, and you can see that today the Alexa traffic rank is about 1.2 million. So that's our benchmark. Now, of course, the lower that number goes, the better, because that means our traffic rank is improving. Google is #1 on Alexa currently because they have the most traffic, and the traffic rank measures a few other things involved in there. But let's look at that number in fairly simple terms. So that's not a bad traffic rank, but I know that I can do a lot better. So as I work on this site and become more active on it, I'm going to see that number come down, and that's one of the things we'll come back to look at to see how we're doing. Now I'm going to take you into the back end of this site so that we can have a quick look at its traffic stats right now. This is the last 12 months of traffic to the site, and what I'm looking at is the average number of visitors per day, and that's this column right here with the orange visitors. These are unique visitors, and you can see that although traffic is up a little this month, possibly because it's a somewhat seasonal site, we tend to get more tourist traffic in the spring and summer. But overall, the traffic has been pretty well flat for the last year, and that's probably because the previous owner really has done very little with this site. So I'm going to look for my daily unique visitor number to come up as I become more active on the site, as I update old pages, add new pages, and just generally start the website becoming more active. Let's also look at a third metric, and this is, we're going to come into the link popularity index. This site, as you can see, is a Site Build It, an SBI site, and those of you who know me know that this is my preferred platform. That's the only reason I picked up this site, is I'm already familiar with the back end and how this platform works, and I know what I can do with it. So I'm really confident that I can turn this site around. So the link popularity index is just a number that SBI pulls this data from Google, and it's a number that just, again, like Alexa, tells us how we're doing. The higher that number, the more incoming links we have. Right now it's at 30.5, which isn't bad, again, for a fairly small site like this. But in looking at the links, I can see that a lot of them are really not that relevant. So already I can tell that I'm probably going to be disappointing some of these people by removing their links. And if they're linking into me, that's fine. I can't do anything about that, and it doesn't harm me in any way. But I'm also going to be going out and looking for more relevant links. And as you'll see in a minute, I am most likely going to be removing a lot of these links from the site itself. Coming back to Alexa for just a minute, you can see that Alexa also has a linking number, and they're measuring right now 41 sites linking in. Alexa, Google, all these different platforms measure linking in a different way, so I'm not going to get too hung up on the number itself, but I'm just going to note what it is as our benchmark, and ideally I'd like to see that number come up. So that's where we are in terms of our Alexa traffic rank and our traffic stats, the daily unique visitors, and our linking statistics. And then I mentioned earlier that the previous owner has told me the site makes about $30 a month, which is about what it costs to maintain the site, so it is at break even. So that's our starting point. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing some work on this site every week. I'm going to devote part of one day, so probably just a couple of hours a week. I don't have a lot of time because I'm pretty busy, but as you know, if you follow me, a little bit goes a long way, so let's just be consistent, and I'll do a few hours work on this site every week. And I will make a video to update you and show you what I've been doing, and also what the results are in terms of the traffic, the linking, and the monetization of the website, how much money it's making. I'll also be posting some screenshots, some photos, so you can see before and after, and I hope it'll be a really useful exercise for you. So feel free to invite your friends onto the site, and they can follow along too if they have any interest in online business. So let me get now to just a really quick overview of this website. Obviously, I did take a look at it before I purchased it. So I've had a cursory look. I had enough of a look to know that, yeah, there's some substance here, and it has a lot of potential, which means in my mind that it's unrealized gain. If I think I can do the work, then I should be able to realize some gain from that. However, there's a lot of things that I would change. So this is really my first in-depth look at the site, and I'm just going to walk through it fairly randomly and just see what I can pick out and let you know. And that way you'll have a sense of what's going through my own mind if you're going through this process yourself. Okay, the first thing I notice, I'm on the home page, and the first thing that jumps out at me is look and feel. The look and feel is exactly that. What are the colors? What's the design? What are the elements on the site? How do they come together? And what kind of mood does that create? I have seen websites that look a lot worse. I'm not saying this is a really bad look and feel. It's just that it comes across as a little bit boring to me. Being from the island, I know a lot of the images that the island brings to mind for me. So the first thing I would do is I would change this header, and this header has the website name on it. It has this lovely panoramic photo, but you can't really see the photo because of the way the header is designed with the text right on top. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is make that header a little bit bigger, let it be a bit deeper and come a bit further down the page, and then I probably will look for some individual shots that maybe I can make a montage of, because Vancouver Island has so much to offer, it's difficult to capture it in one shot. Now, something else important that I do want to mention is I have decided that I'm going to work on this site without any outside inputs. So I won't be outsourcing any work, and I won't be hiring anyone, and I won't be laying out any cash to do anything that I'm going to do. I'm going to do it all myself. And the reason I'm doing that is because I know that a lot of you starting out are, you have more time than money. And if you don't have a website that's profitable already, then it's difficult to consider paying someone to do it. So whereas otherwise I might hire someone to do a lovely header for me, because right brain stuff is not my strong point, for the sake of this exercise, I am going to do all the work on the site myself. And again, you can see that with my fairly limited right brain resources, what I'm going to be able to turn out. It's probably not going to be super gorgeous, but I just want to improve the look and feel a little. Okay, so the other thing I notice is that there's a fair bit of clutter on the two sidebars of the site, the left and the right. The navigation bar down here, I just find that a little hard to read. It's just not real crisp and clear to me. It's a little bit hard to look at, so I'm going to be playing around with that a little bit. And it's organized not bad. You can see there's headings, island regions, fun things to do, where to stay. But I'm going to have a good close look at the site organization because, of course, it has to make sense to my visitor. They have to be able to look at that nav bar and instantly know what they're going to find on the site. So I'll clean that up a little bit. Mostly likely, this is the RSS feed. I'll probably move that down to the bottom and get it out of the way so my navigation buttons are up higher. This is a Facebook like. It's kind of hidden over here. It's only got 4 likes. I'm probably not going to be very active on Facebook with this site right away. I know it has a Facebook page, but my main focus will be on content first. If we go back to SBI's content traffic pre-sale monetization mantra that I'm drilling into people's heads all the time, content is king. I need to please my visitors and please the search engine. So I'm going to strip this site down a little. In the right column, again, I see the Facebook and Twitter buttons. Here's a subscription form to an e-zine. I know that there's probably only about 12 or 15 subscribers. I'm going to remove that. I'm not going to dilute my energy with writing an e-zine for relatively few visitors. Instead, I'm going to build that content up, get that traffic snowball rolling, and then I'll consider whether an e-zine is something that I want or need to do. I also see a search box up here with really not much direction. I probably will remove that or maybe add a little line up there explaining what it is. This is an affiliate link, I believe, for Expedia. I'm just going to click on that. Probably it opens on the Expedia website. Yes. So closing that, coming back to our site, that's going to go. I know that this site is not making any money from these affiliate links. So in that sense, I'm going to treat it like a new site. I will not monetize before I have the content built, because if I don't have content, I will not attract visitors, and if I don't have visitors, there's no point trying to monetize. So I'll strip that down as well. Here's a few more affiliate links. They're just sitting in the right column, probably not getting much attention, so they'll come off as well. That way I can focus my efforts on just jazzing up the look and feel a little bit, and then getting to work on the content. So speaking of which, one of the very first things I'm going to do with this site that you won't notice, but that I certainly will, is I'm going to be changing out the AdSense code. And this is an example of an AdSense block here. The previous owner obviously had an AdSense account, as do I. But right now, if anyone clicks on these ads, the revenue goes to the previous owner. And of course, since I own it now, I want the revenue to come to me. So that's a behind-the-scenes housekeeping task. I have 100 or so pages to go through and look for ads and change out code. So that'll take me a bit of time this week. You won't see the difference, but my bank account will. So I'll be getting on that right away. And then along with that, I will be looking for this site's privacy policy. I don't see it immediately on the nav bar. And that's something else I will be doing, is just making that a bit more prominent. Google does require that we have this privacy policy in place if we are AdSense publishers, so I'm sure there's one on the site, but I'll need to edit that, of course, to be specific to me and my account. So I'll make sure that's done before I update the AdSense ads. Okay, that's look and feel basics, and that's my first order of business is AdSense, but let's take a little look around just to see what else is on this site. I want to get a sense of what my assets are. And the first thing I see is that there are some really lovely photos on this site, which is great. I think for a website like this, visuals are important. It looks like I could add a lot more photos, so I'm going to make a note to take my camera with me everywhere I go. Now I'm seeing at the bottom of this page, the previous owner had this Facebook comment feature on. And a couple of pages have comments, but not many. And again, I'm probably going to remove this for the time being, just because I don't want to get distracted. I want to focus on the content because that's the primary way I'm going to start driving traffic to this site. If I try to drive traffic from Facebook, that's going to be a lot of work at this point. So I'm going to remove that distraction and get down to business. So I'm just assessing, and I see here that the previous owner has made this great page about camping on Vancouver Island, and some of these are links, so these pages are already written. But I've also been given some ideas here for other pages. These bold names have not yet been written, and I'll look at those to see if I want to pick those up. Okay, here's something else that I'm going to deal with while I'm changing up my AdSense. If you notice this green double underlined text, that is probably an info links. I'm just going to hover over it. Yeah, info links. That's another contextual monetization method. I don't find it personally to be great for my current site. I'm going to look into the account and see how it's doing on this one, but I suspect it's not doing much, and I can just tell that by the relevancy of the ads. So InfoLinks chooses the words to highlight, and in this case they've chosen a really generic word, number, that has nothing to do with Vancouver Island. And if you hover over it, you see it's a search for names and phone numbers and addresses, so completely irrelevant to my site. And then we have one for beach, which is for Oahu. So that's irrelevant too. I think I'll probably pull that off. Another reason being that personally, I really don't like the look of InfoLinks. I think it clutters up the site. I think visitors find it annoying because as they're moving their mouse over the text, that these boxes keep popping up. So I will likely get rid of that in my preliminary audit, my first run through the site as well. Let's have another look at oh, there's an interesting button, Sunshine Coast. Okay, so this is something that, there's more info links, these green links, they'll be going again. My eye goes right to them and I just find them so distracting. But Sunshine Coast, the Sunshine Coast is actually not on Vancouver Island. And I've noticed going through the site, there are a few errors, misconceptions, would you call them, where it's obvious that the person who wrote the site doesn't live here. The Sunshine Coast is actually on the mainland. It's the north of Vancouver, and there's a stretch up there that's known as the Sunshine Coast. So this needs some editing just in terms of accuracy for my visitor. So here's some cities, again, some are linked, and I'll be checking out those pages, and then here's some ideas for me to work on some more towns and cities that are named in there. So we'll be working on that. There's another great photo. I think the home page had a few nice photos on it as well. But again, the layout of this site is pretty basic. These photos are all about the same size. They're all centered. I think I could create some more interest by wrapping the text around it, by changing the size and the layout of the photos. That's a little bit of cosmetic stuff that I'll get into. But I'm going to do that as I edit each page, because my main thing is I want to look at some of the keywords that have been used, I want to look at the content that's on the page, and I want to make sure these pages are well optimized. So let's take a little quick look here. You can see that the keyword for this page, if we look way up here at the address bar where the URL is typed in, the keyword is festivals, fairs, T2. That's a very generic keyword. So I'm going to look to see how that's doing in my search engine stats. Oftentimes we do have to use a more general keyword with a very specific geographic location, but I want to see if I can find something a bit better. So let me come back up here to my SBI stats again, and I'm just going to have a look at some of my page names. So in the page manager, you can see there's 108 pages currently on the site. And I'm going to say, just off the top of my head, probably at least 10%, 15% of those pages are going to be deleted, just because they're not relevant to the site, or they're just too general. So having a quick look through, you can see names of cities and towns on the island, which is great. That's very relevant. But then we have some that are really general. For example, this one, different recreational activities. That's a really broad keyword, so I'm going to go in and see if I can find one that's better, and I'm also going to look to see what that page is about to see if I want to keep it, and if so, how I'm going to target my writing on that page to address what I think the visitors' wants are. So fishing on Vancouver Island, that's probably a good one. Galloping Goose Trail, that's down on the south end in Victoria, so that's probably a good one. Here's another one, Herb Farm. Again, very generic, so I'm going to look at a more geographically focused. We have an herb farm here in Nanaimo, and I'll look to see where I can use that one and get it a little bit more specific. So that's some of the pages that we're working with here. I'm seeing some things I would change just to make the site more accurate, but there's a good base of work that's been done here. So my first order of business, as I said, is to get that content cleaned up. And then I can start looking at monetizing. And of course, I'll be really motivated to do that because I've told you that my goal is to get this site making at least $100 a month as my first goal. And other than changing out my AdSense ads, I'm going to be working on content, and I'm going to need to get going on that so that I can get my visitor numbers up, and then I can start to monetize. So that will be my plan for this site. Do feel free to follow along. I'm going to try to post a new video, probably a shorter one than this, every week if I can. And at the very minimum, I'll be taking screenshots before and after and just walking you through what I did, why I did it, what I hope the results to be, and then when I'm able to document the results I did get, I'll report on that as well. And I just hope this is a really good exercise for you so that you can see, it's possible to do this. You can actually see how it's done. That will maybe give you confidence if you're a new webmaster or you're thinking about starting an online business. Exactly how do we do this? And then the other thing is, I hope it's a good exercise in general. It will actually give you some specific ideas for things that you could do. And it may raise questions, and you're welcome to post those on my site as well. And we can have a little discussion about how it's going. So thanks very much for joining me for this project. Feel free to invite friends along if you know that they're interested in this type of online work as well. And I'll look forward to checking in with you next time and updating you on my progress so far.